We got a new update this week, and although we didn't get any new weapons or any new urgent quests, we did get a new mission pass. This mission pass is actually really important due to the material that it gives us at tier 30. This material is called the Luminfragment ML, and at tier 30 we will get 300 of these. In order to work towards getting to tier 30 in your mission pass, you'll want to be working on your tier missions, which will be refreshing every week. You can also boost your way to 30 by using star gems by choosing the purchase tier button in the mission pass. This requires 25 star gems per tier. So if for some reason you're not able to get to tier 30 before the end of the mission pass, you can use these to finish it, or you can just use this to rush your way to 30 early on in order to upgrade your weapon as fast as possible. Once you eventually get your 300 materials, you can bring them together with your 15-star weapon to the item lab and then choose switch potentials. Not all weapons have potentials that you can switch to, but many of the big 15-star weapons that people use, such as the Atlas EX, the Rivulet, and the Trailblazer, do. So if I choose my Rivulet Soaring Blades, you'll see that I have the option to change its potential from Liberated Fang to Liberated Fang Redux. Liberated Fang Redux gives me 7% more damage than the normal Liberated Fang. If I choose this, you'll see that it requires 360,000 Meseta as well as 240 of those fragments. Since the mission pass gives us 300 of the fragments, this is enough to upgrade one of our weapons. We can also look at the other weapons real quick while we're here. If I choose the Trailblazer, you'll see that Photon Resurrection Redux also gives us 7% more damage. Now, if we choose the Atlas EX, you'll see that it actually gives us 8% more damage. Now, this isn't the only use for these fragments, but for the time being, this is the only use for them. In the future, we will be able to farm these fragments using divide quests. The other uses for these fragments, which we don't have yet, are for creating and upgrading future weapons. I'm going to go over these weapons real quick in case you're curious, and I'll be making a future video about preparing for the release of these weapons later on. First, let's talk about the Purus weapon. Right now I'm looking at the Soaring Blades, and you'll see that this one is called the Karaba Purus. This is one of the first weapons that you're probably going to need these fragments for, and it's going to require 200 fragments as well as other things. Its potential is Effortless Metal. This potential will increase your damage the longer you go about taking damage. This caps at 16% damage, and when you get to 16% damage, you also gain 40% damage resistance. Before we move on from this weapon, I just want to mention, this weapon has an S5 ability slot. However, this weapon does not have an S5 ability factor like our Liberate weapon did. So if you're planning on getting an S5 onto this weapon, you're going to want to think about that now rather than later. Moving on from this weapon, let's talk about the Still series weapon. Right here we have the Karaba Still as opposed to the Karaba Purus. That's because the Purus weapon actually upgrades into the Still series. Since the Still series is derived from the Purus series, you'll see that its potential Steadfast Might is basically the same as Effortless Metal but with added benefits. For Steadfast Might, when you get to 16% damage, you get the added benefit of 60% natural PP recovery as well as regenerating 20 PP every 10 seconds. In order to upgrade your Purus series into the Still series, you're going to need 500 of these fragments. The Purus and Still weapon series are most likely going to be the next weapons that people are working towards. You should start to see more about these weapons once we start getting divide quests. Moving on from these two weapons though, we can actually talk about the Ayer series as well as the Crass series. Because the Ayer series weapon is also going to require these fragments. You will need 200 of the fragments for the Ayer weapon, and the Ayer weapon will eventually be upgraded into the Crass weapon, which is largely considered the main endgame weapon of the JP release of the game. The Ayer series potential is Reincarnation of Fate, which will boost your damage by 12% while reducing your PP usage by 20% and recovering 20 PP every 10 seconds. Then we get the Crass weapon, which has Light Weaving Guardian, and this says that when you do 3 normal attacks, it'll give you the effect of 18.72% extra damage as well as reducing your damage taken by 30% and negating knockback. This effect will last for 30 seconds and then you'll have to wait 30 seconds before you can do it again. What's really strong about the Crass though is that it can support S1 through S5 augments. And it also comes with the S5 ability factor, making it very easy to put on it, as opposed to that possibly being a problem for the Purus and Still that I mentioned earlier. Now, the Ayer series and the Crass weapons are still a long ways off, and we will most likely see the Purist and Still weapon series before that. I plan on using my Luminfragments to upgrade my Liberate dual blades, and then I'm going to farm fragments from the Divide quests in order to make a Still wand. But anyway, that's all for now, and if you liked the video and you want to see more, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.